Welcome back to the news at 10. The federal government has approved a new national health policy which should strengthen the country's healthcare system and provide comprehensive health coverage to Nigerians. According to the Minister of Health, the new policy, which is the third since independence, pays special attention to the poor and will build on previous healthcare gains. In this background report, our correspondent Yomi Otaigbe traces the process from the first policy.
The first comprehensive national health policy was promulgated in 1988 as a strategy to achieve health for all Nigerians. Among other features, primary healthcare development was at the core of the 1988 policy, with its dividend recorded in improvements in some of the health indicators. But the success was not sustained. To examine the factors that mitigated against its sustainability and chart the ways to enhance the relevance of the document, a National Health Summit was organized in 1995 with stakeholders in the country participating, giving birth to a revised National Health Policy in 2004. The major thrust of the 2004 National Health Policy relates to national health systems and management. This is based on primary health care, which is promotive, protective, restorative, and rehabilitative. Over a decade after, the newly revised National Health Policy was finalized in June 2016 for the attainment of universal health coverage and other related sustainable development goals.
This new policy will provide the direction necessary to support the achievement of significant progress in terms of improving the performance of the national system. It also lays emphasis on primary care as the bedrock of our national health system, in addition to the provision of financial risk protection to all Nigerians.
It's almost 30 years since the first National Health Policy described the goals, structure, strategy and policy direction of the healthcare delivery system in Nigeria. But the present situation in the health sector still has similar features to the past. The question is, what difference will Nigeria's newly revised National Health Policy make this time in terms of implementation? Yomi Otaigbe reporting for Channels Television News.
All right, let's take the conversation further now. I'm being joined on the news at 10 by a senior medical practitioner and official of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Bayo Sekumade. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10.
You're welcome.
All right, we now have a new policy. What do you make of it? And is that what you think the health sector needs now?
Well, it's common knowledge that the health sector has been beset by a lot of challenges in recent time, and this latest revision has been long in coming. It's a welcome development, and one can assume that some of the challenges that have mitigated against the successful implementation of previous policy will be effectively addressed in the latest policy.
Now, when you say it's a welcome development, we've had 3 revisions, 1998, 2004, last year, this year. What's different about this new plan, if you welcome it the way you said?
Well, the document has now is not a public document yet, but gauging from the quality of professionals that were involved in the promulgation of the policy, one can expect that they would have done a very good job, and that's why we think it's a welcome development.
Yes, but what do you think is different about it? Even if it was worked on, as you say, there must be something that you find optimistic. What is different exactly?
Well, we have to maintain our optimism. Like I said earlier on, the problem with our system has always been about the implementation. I think there's a new focus now on addressing these challenges finally, and that's where my optimism springs from, that finally may actually be ready to tackle the issues head on.
Okay, let's look at the priority areas of the new plan. You heard the health minister there talk about primary health care as a priority. If you look as far back as 1998 and 2004, primary health care was also a priority Health for All from Nigerians. So why hasn't that been implemented then?
Well, it's a tough question because the problem is actually multifactorial. You find out that over the years you probably want to point to the lack of political will to follow through on some of these policies. And for some time now, a lot has been said about the dwindling allocation to the health sector too. And so these are issues that we hope will be addressed with when this new policy come on board.
What do you think is the most immediate need that the health sector needs right now? What should be, I mean, you said the plan is not a public document yet, but what should be top on that list?
Well, the most important thing as far as I'm concerned should be the commitment and the political will on part of the public officials to follow through on this document, because like I said, the issue has never been about formulation of good policy. The core issue has always centered on the will and commitment to follow through on these policies.
All right, Dr. Bayo Sekumade, thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts with us on the News at 10 tonight. From health, let's take a look at some business news for the day. Here's Anne Waudu.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma. Welcome to Business News. The federal government has been advised to revisit its decision to float a national carrier. A former chairman of the Nigeria Aviation Safety Initiative, Captain Dong Aruwampam, made this comment earlier today on our program Business Morning. He sees Nigeria's debt profile as a disadvantage to the plan.
Circumstances and our current per capita, I think we should reconsider that seriously, unless somebody's going to give it to us for free. And I don't think there's free lunch, because we could not even fully fund last year's budget. We still have deficit in our budget. Thank goodness our foreign reserves have increased a little bit. But if we cannot fund a budget, how can we fund a national carrier and still maintain controlling shares? What I'm saying is this: if we can go ahead and start another national carrier, but what could happen is that we either borrow more money and not enough to be able to hold controlling shares and fully control that airline. Some people have seen what we have. We have the biggest market in Africa, and that is one thing going for us. So you can easily have investors falling over themselves to come. However, they are not doing that now as they were before we started Virgin Nigeria, because we have also not been known to keep our ends of the bargain, and that is one of the reasons why our agreement with Virgin Atlantic did not follow through.
Nigeria's overnight lending rate surged to 25% today from 10.17% yesterday after the central bank sold treasury bills and debited commercial lenders for bond purchases. The CBN sold 178.44 billion naira in the 321-day bill at 18.6% and 19.14 billion naira for the 174-day paper at 18%. This drained cash and increased the cost of borrowing among commercial lenders. The money market had a cash surplus of about 83.89 billion naira on Thursday, compared with 55.07 billion naira it had a week ago. Nigeria's stock market soft landed by 44 basis points at the close of trading today, with two gains recorded within the week. For more details on these transactions, here is Harriet Agbini.
The Nigerian stock market added over 37 billion naira today as recovery in some banking and consumer goods pushed the market north. The market capitalization is 8.70 trillion naira, with the all-share index up 44 basis points to end today's session at 25,164.91. Total volume of shares increased today, 480 million, exchanged in 2,713 deals, valued at 1.98 billion naira. Standard Trust Assurance, United Capital, and Zenith Bank were the three most actively traded equities contributing to total volume traded today. Market breadth also turned positive, with 21 gainers versus 10 losers. PZ Cussons tops the list of gainers with 10.12% added to its share price. And on the flip side, livestock feed tops the laggards, down 5%. Those are the day's trading figures. I'm Harriet Agbinyi. Now let's check out U.S. stocks. It had another record-breaking week, but financial and energy stocks led the markets lower today. With more details from the Nasdaq market site in New York, as VOA Channels TV business correspondent Jill Malandrino.
U.S. stocks open lower as financials and energy stocks lead the way down, while consumer staples are taking up to the upside. Now, coming into today's session, the S&P 500 has gone 88 trading days without a 1% decline, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average has closed at all-time highs 6 days in a row. The Nasdaq has not had back-to-back down days in 2017 at all. With that, global stocks have jumped in value by more than $5 trillion since President Trump's November victory, as investors focus on market-friendly policies. Now, this stat's according to Bloomberg. Turning to the trading week ahead, U.S. markets will be closed on Monday in observance of President's Day. While it is a holiday-shortened week, the earnings calendar is still busy with a focus on the retailers, as well as large-cap tech name Hewlett-Packard. Recall Cisco and IBM printed solid quarters as these legacy tech companies right-size their business lines. Other hot stocks to watch include Home Depot, Macy's, Tesla, and Nordstrom, which has certainly been in the news as it has been on the business end of one of Donald Trump's tweets. Outside of earnings, there is a number of housing data on tap, and a handful of Federal Reserve speakers will be on the circuit. And of course, traders will continue to be focused on the Trump trade and macro themes such as lack of volatility and policy changes. From the Nasdaq market site in New York, I'm Jill Malandrino, and this is VOA Channel's Business News.
Well, it's mixed close for most of the world's leading stocks today, with investors focused more on the impact of the arrest of Samsung's vice chairman Lee Jae-yong on Asian markets, as well as more earnings reports and economic data from European companies. Let's see the numbers. Thanks for watching Business News on the last trading day of the week. Have a profitable week. I am Anne Nwawadu. Back to you, Joma.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. The third edition of the Obafemi Awolowo Foundation Prize for Leadership will not be holding this year. And that's because the nominees failed to meet the criteria as set by the committee charged with the responsibility of selecting a winner. This was announced in Ikenne, Ogun State, by the foundation's executive director, Mrs. Dosumu Awolowo. She said a lecture will now be delivered by Professor Banji Akintoye of the Institute of African Studies, Obafemi Awolowo University, on the legacy of the late politician.
The prize is not being awarded this year, not because the nominees were not eminently accomplished individuals in their various fields of endeavor, but because the award is based on demonstrable evidence of substantial achievement across the board of the criteria laid out by the selection.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger rules out retiring at the end of his 20-year reign at the Emirates. That's on sports. Please stay with us.